continuing to go with long-tenured, lovable Royals, let's talk about the second most tenured Royal, Kyle Isbell. What's he been doing so far this year?
Listen, man, I've been on this Izzy train for a while. He brought me in with his defensive capabilities and just kind of commanding that center field position, making it his own.
And he kept you with that luscious beard.
You know, he did. You know, he's growing it on a little thicker this season, you know, and I think it's doing wonders for him at the plate. He has been lights out, of course, defensively, but offensively, hitting safely in all 10 games so far this season.
Hitting safely in all 8 games that he's played in,
all
for
8,
sure.
Yeah, all 8, yeah. Ah, you caught me. Okay.
No worries.
It's okay.
But, like, obviously he's still struggling against lefties, yeah?
You know, so far, so good. He hasn't faced many lefties, but the ones he has, he's still getting the job done. So obviously we've kept him in against lefty starters, yeah? You know, I think it's the Quanalytics that block him from being an everyday player even against lefties.
Oh, well, that's okay. We didn't put anybody with under a .09 batting average, right?
I think this is where your issues with a certain new Royal come into play.
Lane Thomas is...
Q has put in Lane Thomas in those situations to bat for Isbell against lefties.
Lane Renfroe Thomas, yes.
You know, he is giving you reminders, but at least Renfroe was good for the occasional home run. So far, Lane Thomas hasn't delivered at the plate. Of course, he's a player we're going to need throughout the season, whether it be as a defensive sub or pinch hitter, whatever it might be. But with Isbell on as good of a tear offensively, I don't know if there's another player on the team that has looked as good on offense as Isbell has. And I know that Isbell has struggled in the past against lefties, but given how much of a tear he's been on offensively this season, I really would like Q to have shown a little bit more faith to give him that opportunity to try his hand against lefties, see if he can't continue to generate that offense.
Let me piggyback on that. Let's talk about lefties in general, because I don't remember where I heard it. Probably somebody in the John Boy universe. But I heard somebody talk about the other day people platooning lefties and righties that are like young hitters. And I completely agree with what you're saying about Isbell, but I'm transitioning a bit. If you have a young lefty, like a rookie, like Carter, for example, and you use him as a platoon in the big leagues, how are you ever going to know if he's good or bad against lefties at this point in his career? And how is he ever going to get better against lefties if he's never facing lefties? Now, with Carter's recent resurgence, I say that like we're halfway through the season, but in the last couple games, maybe as he continues to hit, he does get put in those lefty lineups, but so far he hasn't. And it's just like, why not like see what he can do and like also give him the ability to get better? Because if you in his rookie season never let him face lefties, then like you are making it so that he's never going to be good against lefties for all the years that you have him, when there's potential that he could be good. He could learn. So that's just a caveat I wanted to get into. And it also leads me to somebody else who we pretty much know is bad at lefties, bad against lefties at this point in his career, and that's Vinnie. But we're less talking about that. And more talking about the fact that Vinny's start has been pretty horrendous. Hasn't hit a home run yet, which is neither here nor there, I guess, but also is until recently was hitting below 200. It's kind of scary because Vinnie is the type of dude, he started this way last season, to be fair. Although we now know that last season was because they were trying to increase his bat speed and essentially change up his swing quite a bit. And eventually he just said, I don't think this is for me. I'm just going to go back to what I know. And then he finished great. But I just would, because that happened, I would highly doubt they're trying to do something like that again. So it's a little more scary this year. It's also scary because Vinny's the type of dude that when he goes through a drought, he just looks lost at the plate. Like, it looks hopeless. It looks like, has this guy played baseball before? So it's really scary. But something I've been reminded of, and a reason I'm not super worried for the long term, is Vinny is the type of dude who, when he's struggling, he will not just keep going up there and doing the same thing and expecting a different result. He will do anything in the meantime to help the team, to help change his approach so that he can like workshop what he's doing and seeing what works. The other night, he bunted for a base hit because they play him to pull and they play super far back. So he has that opportunity to get a base hit, and even though he's not a very good bunter, he took that opportunity. He got that base hit. The game before that, he was up in a very tough situation against a lefty with bases loaded in a pivotal situation of the game. And did he try to hit a grand slam? No. He knows how much he's struggling. He also knows how much he struggles in general against lefties. He did everything he could to go opposite field, and he did go opposite field, and he drove in 2 or 3 runs. It's that type of stuff that lets me know, okay, even if Vinny isn't necessarily top tier in terms of his ceiling on offense, in terms of like he definitely has the metrics of a guy who could very easily decline. I just know he will always do what he needs to get back. And so I'm not too worried about it.